नमस्कार दोस्तों। रिसेंटली अभी आपने न्यूज़ में देखा होगा, इंडिया ने अपनी एक मेडिकल टीम, नेशनल डिजास्टर रिलीफ फोर्स की एक टीम टर्की भेजी है वहां के लोगों की हेल्प के लिए। टर्की में अभी जो मासिव डिस्ट्रक्टिव अर्थक्वेक आया है, जो डाइवर्स्टेटिंग सिचुएशन जो वहां पे क्रिएट हुई है, उनकी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन में उनकी हेल्प करने के लिए, सर्च ऑपरेशन में उनकी हेल्प करने के लिए, उनको मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज देने के लिए इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने ऑपरेशन दोस्त एक ऐसा ऑपरेशन चलाया है जिसके तहत इंडियन आर्मी की एक मेडिकल टीम टर्की भेजी गई है। बहुत से लोगों का ये भी कंसर्न हो सकता है कि भाई हम टर्की की हेल्प क्यों कर रहे हैं, जबकि टर्की तो इंडिया के अगेंस्ट में कश्मीर मुद्दे पे भी खड़ा था और डिफरेंट टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज को भी सहयोग करता रहा है, ऐसा काफी लोगों का मानना है। तो दोस्तों देखो, ऐसा नहीं है। हम टर्की की हेल्प इसलिए कर रहे हैं क्योंकि टर्की ने हमसे हेल्प मांगी है। और जो टर्की का भी मौजूदा हालात हैं, टर्की ने अभी लेवल 4 का अलार्म डिक्लेयर कर दिया है। और ये अलार्म जब भी कोई कंट्री डिक्लेयर करती है, इसका मतलब ये होता है कि इन्होंने अपने हाथ खड़े कर दिए हैं, अब इनके बस की नहीं है वहां की सिचुएशन को संभालना। और न सिर्फ इंडिया बल्कि डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो हैं, टर्की ने अभी जो फॉरेन कंट्रीज हैं, जो इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैं, उनसे हेल्प मांगी है। तो न सिर्फ इंडिया बल्कि WHO, UN और रशिया जैसी कंट्रीज भी, जो कि अभी यूक्रेन के साथ अपने मिलिट्री ऑपरेशन में बिजी है, ये तो आपको पता ही होगा। उसके बावजूद रशिया ने यहाँ पे अपने 2 एयरक्राफ्ट यहाँ की मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज को हेल्प करने के लिए, यहाँ के रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस को हेल्प करने के लिए वहां पे सेंड किए हैं। वहां पे जो अर्थक्वेक आया है वो 7.8 मैग्नीट्यूड और 7.5 मैग्नीट्यूड के ऐसे 2 अर्थक्वेक आए हैं, जिससे सिचुएशन इतनी खराब हो गई है कि वहां पे लोगों का रहना ऑलमोस्ट नामुमकिन हो गया है। इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के नाम पर वहां कुछ बचा नहीं है। और अगर हम देखें तो जो पहला अर्थक्वेक आया था, ये करंटली आप ये जो लोकेशन देख रहे हैं, ये बेसिकली ये हमें समझने की जरूरत है। ये गाजियान्टेप और ये केरसमस, ये 2 लोकेशंस ऐसे हैं जहां पे अर्थक्वेक आया था। एंड व्हाट अबाउट these red lines? These are the boundaries between northern Turkey regions and southern Syrian regions. The most affected areas, the earthquake happens in that particular regions only, and not only this, but the several various regions also. As you can see, the 285 aftershocks are also happens in these regions and almost in the Turkey. So now, why these locations have been important and the geographical phenomena are behind the earthquake are important? See, the first earthquake happened in Nahardagi in Gaziantep. It was 7.8 magnitude on a Richter scale, and the second earthquake happens in Ikinozu of magnitude 7.5 in Karameras province. Now, what is so special about this region? Why are we especially talking about the 2 cities and the entire border belt of Turkey and Syria? And why such high magnitude of earthquake? As we can see the image, जैसा कि आप ये पिक्चर में देख सकते हैं, यहाँ के जो हालात हैं, टर्की के जो मौजूदा हालात हैं अर्थक्वेक आने के बाद, ये सिटी पूरी तरीके से तहस नहस हो गई है। एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू द लेटेस्ट फिगर्स, अराउंड मोर देन 38,000 people lost their lives and more than 1,08,068 people are injured. ये डेटा अभी करंटली आए हैं, अभी पता नहीं और कितने सारे लोग आएंगे, मतलब कितने सारे डेटा अभी निकल के आएंगे, जिसमें से कि मृतकों की संख्या या घायलों की संख्या बढ़ भी सकती है। ये जो गाजियान्टेप देख रहे हैं, ये एपी सेंटर था, इसके 40 किलोमीटर नीचे अर्थक्वेक आया था। अब देख सकते हैं ये पहले की जो तस्वीर है गाजियान्टेप की, जो शहर है, कितना सुंदर लग रहा है, और ये अर्थक्वेक के बाद की तस्वीर है। जो करंट सिचुएशन है वहां पे, ये आप सीरिया का एक विलेज देख सकते हैं जहां पे अर्थक्वेक के बाद ऐसा लगता है कि यहाँ कुछ कभी था ही नहीं। Now this is the footage of Turkey. These cracks were caused by the massive earthquake on February 6, 2023. ये सारी फुटेज ये कैरिज्मस टर्की की हैं, कैरिज्मस प्रोविंस की हैं, यहाँ पे जो अर्थक्वेक के बाद जो क्रैक्स आए हैं वो आप इस फुटेज के माध्यम से देख सकते हैं। ये क्रैक्स डेवलप हुए हैं ठीक उस अर्थक्वेक के बाद, और ये अभी भी आफ्टर शॉक्स वहां पे जारी हैं। करीब 285 आफ्टर शॉक्स अभी तक आ चुकी हैं और पता नहीं कितनी आएंगी. Turkey has a history of massive earthquakes. This region has frequently seen major earthquakes over last centuries. Most important and most devastating earthquake is seen in 1939 of 8 magnitude. Earthquake struck Turkey, and in 1999, two earthquakes of 7 and 7.4 on Richter scale, 7 and 7.4 magnitude on Richter scale. Around 18,000 people lost their lives and 45,000 wounded. And this region seen thousands of earthquakes in last 100 years, which is extremely high intensity and magnitude. More than 90,000 people, more than 90,000 people have died in 100 years in Turkey across the thousands of earthquakes. See, the intensity have high because mostly earthquake here have been shallow, and the region is sitting on some major tectonic collisions. This is what we have to study. I hope you know what is the tectonic plates are. Tectonic plates are basically the fractured segment, as we can see in this image. In this video, we can understand about the basics of tectonic plates. These are basically the fractured segments on Earth crust. The Earth lithosphere is fractured also, and these fracture segments are moving. As we can see here, these are the Earth crust, or the fracture Earth crusts are moving in the directions north. Some are moving west, some are moving south. These are moving also, and this movement can be predominantly in three forms. And what are these three forms? It can be a convergent boundary, or divergent, or transform boundaries. As we can see, in the case of convergent boundaries, the plates can move towards each other. With colliding in such cases, generally the young fold mountains are seen. The case of Himalayas and the Andes, there are the good example of young folded mountains. Divergent boundaries. In case of divergent boundaries, the plates are moving away from each other. In such cases, we can see rift valleys such as East African Rift and Red Sea Rift. These are the good examples. But in case of transform boundaries, we can see generally the plates are rubbing against each other. As we can see in this image, these plates are rubbing against each other and a crack develops between them, and it's separated from the mother plate. It's separated from these plates, and these are basically rubbing. And in this particular video, the main concern and the main focus is toward these transform boundaries only. When two tectonic plates rub against each other, and this rubbing creates lot of tension, and when this tension releases, we can massive earthquakes. We can see massive earthquakes. As we can see, these plates are rubbing against each other, and they shift from their position suddenly. We can understand with the help of these small videos. It happens because the hot rock rises heated up the earth crust. Near the surface, the earth crust, the rock separated in two directions and goes sideways. During this spreading path, the earth crust very slowly drag the path, and due to this, the continent causes to move. As we can see, these are the separating from each other, and the continent causes to move. When the plates collide, when these plates collides with the rock and the seafloor containing carbon from dead planktons is carried deep into the earth. And then the layer of earth crust melted and released carbon dioxide. And these gases come back into the atmosphere during an eruptions. Now let's get back to what we are discussing about the Turkey and Syrian boundaries. See, this region have seen a lot of earthquakes because this region is sitting on top of multiple boundaries, and these boundaries are interacting among themselves, leading to such tensions being released. Take the example of Arabian Plate, which is moving northward, and African Plate is there to its positions. This is where the Red Sea Rift Valley created. We are talking about this. This is the Red Sea Rift Valley. It's seen because there is a movement in Arabian Plate in northward directions. As we see, the African Plate is rubbing to Arabian Plate. At this region, this is called Dead Sea Transform boundaries. Dead Sea Transform boundaries. These are slightly bent. Okay. Now the Arabian Plate is not colliding with Eurasian plates. Arabian Plate is not colliding with the Eurasian plates. There is a microplate called Anatolian Plate, and what we are discussing about, all the discussions are based on this Anatolian Plate. This Anatolian Plate is important because it has two faults, the northern Anatolia fault and the eastern Anatolia fault. If you notice, the Arabian Plate is moving towards north, and there is the East Anatolia fault in this region. It is colliding with southeastern directions, hence Anatolia Plate moves westward. These are the moving Anatolia Plate moving westward. We are talking about these situations. This is very, very important. The collision with East Anatolia fault is not pure collisions. This is the collision point, and this is bent and it's moving on the westwards. It is fault created due to the transform boundaries. The direction of Anatolia fault is northward, and the East Anatolia fault plate is slightly bent, which is leading to rubbing the plate boundaries. In transform boundaries, these tensions were developed and they retain for a decade. So when they release such high magnitude that eventually large scale earthquake can be seen in a lot of frequencies. So the northern Anatolia fault, North Anatolia fault and East Anatolia fault have seen a lot of earthquakes since last few centuries. This East Anatolia fault predominantly near the boundary between Turkey and Syria. So a lot of people, thousands or lakhs, are sitting around these fault lines. They are living there. Now you must have heard in news about Straxley fault in context of this catastrophic event. So what are these faults are? The faults can be of three types. The first one is a strike slip, the second is dip slip, and the third one is oblique slip. Strike slip is when the boundaries are rubbing against each other. As we can see in the image, these boundaries are rubbing against each other. This has potential to huge or massive intensity earthquake because the tension has been developed and it is released suddenly. Dip slip. Suppose this is a block where a fault developed like this. Eventually, you can see the vertical movement. One has to go up and the other has to go down. And in case of oblique slip, it's a combination of strike and disc slip. That is both lateral as well as vertical movement. And there is a gap between these two plates, lateral and the vertical movement. Now, there have been a lot of discussion that we can prevent these earthquake or can we mitigate the effect with the help of early warning system by predicting these earthquakes. Sadly, this cannot be happen because we do not have the technology. A lot of work have to done, but till now, no, we do not have the solution to prevent this earthquake. So प्रकृति के आगे तो इंसान कितना बेबस है वो एक अर्थक्वेक को देख के ही जान पड़ता है। तो दोस्तों आज के लिए बस इतना ही। अगर आपको मेरी वीडियो अच्छी लगी हो तो प्लीज डू लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब। तब तक के लिए थैंक यू वेरी मच।